Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Horse Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
I know it's kind of funny. The other day I was complaining that we didn't know anything about Jude Law's character.
Jude
Nanawood. Yeah. So StarWars.com decided to put out an interview with Jude Law.
They're listening to the show.
I knew it, man.
And they're hanging on every word.
I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are.
Well, we found out fun things like how when Jude Law was a kid, he gravitated, on the school playground where everyone's picking their characters and who they're playing. He gravitated towards the role of Han Solo. He said, there was a sort of shrug to Han Solo that I always loved, a slight cynicism. So, yeah, he kind of wanted to take some of that into Jude Nanawood, some of the swagger, some of the charm, but he also had some things to say about Luke, saying that there was an obvious purity to Skywalker, and he wanted to try to combine all those things. He wanted, to combine the scoundrel nature of Han with the purity and innocence of Luke.
Okay.
I find that challenging.
Yeah.
He talks about how he first discovered Star Wars when that film was released in the London cinemas growing up. He says, and I remember it blowing my tiny mind. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, there never had been anything like it. That's why it took the world by storm.
Exactly, and that's why so many things in that time frame tried to emulate it and be similar to it in their own way.
Yeah, ice pirates, good stuff.
He says that, back in the day, he started collecting the bubblegum cards. He wanted the latest action figures for his birthday, for Christmas.
It's funny, that's still me today.
That is still you.
Huh.
He says, when the story's ended, the credits are rolling, that's when you play pretend about what happened next, when you pull out your toys and you keep your story going.
That is me today.
He says that him and his schoolmates would argue over who'd be Han and who'd be Luke. He wanted to be Han, but it also depended on the game. He said sometimes he wanted to be Darth Vader as well.
Streak of Evil, too. He wants to be everybody in Star Wars, all rolled up into one.
Then he says, getting his call from John Watts and Chris Ford to be invited to be part of this universe, it was a true thrill. There's something to be said for the play acting as a child, having some sort of responsibility for becoming an actor and assuming roles. Running around and wanting to be space pirates or saviors in that world was a leap of the imagination, which is really at the heart of what my job is. Becoming an actor and then being asked to be an actor in that universe is a beautiful full circle. And as with a lot of the choices I make, I was so curious to see how it was done and meet a lot of the great minds and creative forces behind it. I like that when they talk about how being an actor, it's a privilege. It's something that they worked for, aspired to. It just feels refreshing.
No, I agree. It is there's a rare few popular, well-known actors.
And he sounds
in the
very
world,
grateful for, the opportunities in his life, and I like that.
Yeah, you always appreciate people who achieve that level of fame and are still humble.
He says from the first phone call he got, with Watts, he was really enthusiastic about it. He was intrigued by the premise. They told him, the idea of the protagonist being children in a galaxy that I know so well and we've all enjoyed for so many years just seems like a really fresh idea. It's a brilliant concept from the start. My relationship with this world was as a child, and I love the idea that we see it in this series through their eyes. There's a wonderment to it. There's still jeopardy and risk, but the idea of bringing it back to the children's perspective was just brilliant.
It sounds great in theory. We just hope they can deliver on that.
See, I thought
and
that
still be entertaining for the older crowd as well.
Yeah, well, I thought that was something that James Cameron did really good in the sequel to Avatar.
That, yeah.
How when they did all the undersea exploration, they didn't do it through the eyes of Jake Sully because he's been living in this world for a while. We saw that through him in the first movie where he had the childlike wonder. Well, he's been hardened by more war, and he's been in this body for a while, and he's a father with new responsibilities, so we got to explore the undersea world through his kids, which was very intelligent because they're seeing it for the first time, so their expressions seem more genuine. He says, when he got the call, the invitation, that he just couldn't decline. He said, I really responded to the role that they wanted me to play and have fun. I could do that. So they encouraged him to have fun with the role. That's great. We still don't know what kind of character he's playing. We saw him levitate that key.
Well, yeah.
Possibly. It looked a little shaky for true force levitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that they even mentioned that in this interview with StarWars.com means I think they're red herring.
As much as they can,
they're throwing it, yeah.
Because he did mention he's got a little Han in him, too. Mm-hmm. Han is a bit of a scoundrel when we first meet him. So he could be a bit of a scoundrel, too.
Jude Law was being coy with how he speaks about the character. we haven't been given, like, any information.
No, because there's going to be something up with him. He's not going to be what he seems for one reason or another, one way or another.
What he does say about Jode is, conflicted is certainly a word I'd use to describe Jode. Honestly, what inspired me most about playing Jode was the playfulness of those first 3 films, the heroes at the heart of those films, and the way they perceived the galaxy. Ultimately, Jode is a survivor.
Well, we've already kind of figured he's going to have to choose between maybe some kind of treasure, we've heard that mentioned now, and helping the kids get home. Seems like he's going to be conflicted on that. I mean, that's the common trope, right? Kids find somebody, he seems trustworthy, but he actually has his own little intentions, and then down the road he has to make a choice.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he was once part of this pirate crew that's coming after him, and maybe
possible,
they kicked him out, and now he's hunting the treasure for himself to show everyone, like, see, I did it by myself. You guys kicked me out. But then I think he'll become more, like, enamored with the kids.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. He's going to be at first like, I don't care about the kids, and he falls for the kids, and then he helps the kids instead of helping himself or whatever. I mean, that's the standard formula.
It's a standard formula, but it's a formula that can work as long as you keep taking fresh spins at it.
Yeah, a lot of shows use standard formulas, but it's all about, do you care about the characters? Do you get into it? Do they give you a little twists and turns, maybe? Do they, raise some skepticism about how it'll end? Yeah, it can work.
He goes on to say nice things about the young, brilliant actors he's working with, his 4 little co-stars, the kids.
As opposed to ripping on them and saying they were the worst 4 children I've ever encountered? I'm kidding.
I know. He says that they brought such joy and excitement because they were youngsters, but they brought professionalism too. They really elevated every scene, and every day that they came to work, it was a privilege to be around them. Of course, you gotta say nice stuff about the kids.
Yeah, he's gonna say nice stuff about the kids.
He says they were just great moments, that they reminded him not to take himself or it too seriously, but equally moments of real appreciation. They were good company, and I have very fond memories of our time as a little crew. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, we, of course, are keeping our fingers crossed. We're less than 2 weeks. No, we are 2 weeks away. 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
It's
and
coming.
2, which I will, of course, review right after the episodes on my channel. And then the following day, we'll probably do a joint review going into more different things. Maybe read some of the comments like we have in the past. We'll see what we do.
Yeah, we kind of vary things up now and again. It's all good fun. And one other little piece of news of note today. I did see a recent interview with Temuera Morrison, a.k.a. Boba Fett. He did it with a YouTuber, I think it was The Ray Side. I don't really know much about it. I just saw an interview. They talked about music and stuff that he's into, but he did mention, hey, I know they're doing a bunch of new Star Wars and stuff, but
give me a call.
He still wants to do Boba Fett. I don't blame him. But he says he doesn't know what's happening on the Star Wars front. He says, I think they're making new stuff.
I hope he gets another chance, because I really feel like Book of Boba Fett was just kind of
it wasn't what anyone expected, and that was actually in a bad way.
Yeah, it's sad that he was so much better. I mean, again, being the badass bounty hunter, I think we all kind of like and expect him to be. Like, he was so good in Mandalorian Season 2, and then he gets his own show, and it's like, I'm the kinder, gentler mayor, gives people jobs, Boba Fett.
And that's not the Boba Fett we deserve.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would like the story. I get that he maybe changed. He had a profound change after the Sarlacc pit and all that, but I kind of just wanted a kick-ass Boba Fett. And he's kind of echoed that sentiment, too, where he thought he took the helmet off a little too much, and he's talking a little too much, and let's get him in there again for at least one last ride with the real Boba Fett.
He needs to, Judge Dredd it.
Yeah, really. It should have been more of a Judge Dredd where the helmet doesn't really need to come on. I mean, I understand he just did that.
That way he could do the voice acting, right?
Yeah, he could just do the voice acting. You could do it post-Empire Strikes Back or something, pre-Empire, or wherever you wanted on the timeline, really, with him as the voice actor.
I think that could work out really well.
But anyway, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news, and let's talk some Star Wars. And so, until next time, thanks for watching.